Legion Live. Today I got Amanda Balcazar with me. Amanda, where does that name come from? Is that like a Nordic name or like a Colombian name?
Oh,
Or give me a little history on Balcazar.
good what? It's Colombian with an O because everybody spells it wrong, which is kind of funny. I would have spelled it wrong too. Yeah, there's two ways to spell it. Come on, think through that. CLO. Wait, I can't even spell it now.
You can't even spell
COLO.
Colombian. You're lecturing me on how to spell Colombian and you can't do it.
There's two ways to spell
Oh my
Colombia.
gosh.
People spell it with you. I can't spell, and that's not even my original name. So maybe we should talk to John about this, not me.
Hey, you took the name. You can figure it out.
I had a very easy name prior to that, but
Got it.
yep.
So today we're on here talking about live events. And the reason that we're doing that is because we've been involved in a lot of them lately. And we say live events, we mean more like networking, kind of fun activities. And we usually do these around like Amazon conferences. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I've been labeled, Amanda, and it hurts my feelings. Can I tell you how I was labeled?
Let's talk about that.
You know Kristen Michelle?
I do.
Kristen Michelle the other day was laughing at me in Vegas, and she said, "Tim, you know how I have you in my cell phone?" And I was like, "Hopefully, like Tim Jordan, the man." And she's like, "No, as a matter of fact, I have you listed as Tim, party guy." And I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" She opens up her phone and literally says Tim, party guy. And I was like, "Oh no, how did this happen? How did I get labeled the party guy?"
Can't imagine.
Yeah, because I'm the guy that like is boring. Like I don't go out. I don't. John was just on here before he came live and joking about how I'm the guy that's in bed at like 8:45 every night because I am, and like I'm just not that fun. But what happened is when I started doing these Amazon conferences and meetups and events, like I started forcing myself to get involved in social situations, and maybe those social situations I'm not always comfortable with. Like I'm kind of goofy and I'm a little awkward, and sometimes I'm a little nervous around like really good-looking guys like John Balcazar. And he's back there yelling in the background.
It's hard to keep your composure sometimes. I understand.
It is. But the reason that I started doing it is because I feel like it's so powerful for businesses. And that's what I want to talk about, Amanda, with you. And I want to put this in the framework of all of you that are listening. Take some advice here next time that you go to local meetup, local events, go to conferences, when you go to trade shows. Like we want to kind of bestow on you the virtues of getting involved in networking, getting involved in social activities, and the benefits that they can have on your business. So, Amanda, hit us with some truth here.
Well, it's kind of interesting because the whole word, some of you guys might be cringing back a little bit with the whole networking word. And I have to say, I had kind of the same kind like thoughts or reservations about that because right out of college, I actually was in the mortgage industry for a short time before we got into e-commerce. And the networking that is done and the networking events that you seek out, it was all about, here's my card, what can you do for me? That's what it was. And so when I started going to e-commerce events and being engaging with other people and going to some of the quote unquote, networking sessions that they had, it was a breath of fresh air. I found that everybody was there to truly connect, to learn about each other. I'm sure there's probably some people out there that are just networking the other way, but I've not encountered them. It's been absolutely incredible. So I don't know if we might be able to coin a new term for something like this, but I love it. So we actually went to events again. The first e-commerce event, we had been in business for 13 years full time. The first one we ever went to was the CES that John met you at. Okay. So, he's the same way. I am definitely not, shy. I really enjoy hanging out with people. That'll be obvious if you guys come to SellerCon or if you ever are not SellerCon, Simplezonseller. And hang out. I love that. I love learning about people. I love genuinely connecting with people. And so I'm glad I got over that mentality that I had initially to where it was tainted, because it's just been a blast. It's been incredible for what we've been able to, just the people that we've been able to meet. And, Yeah, just building relationships over the past couple years has been something that's been not just impactful, for our business, but just opening up our minds to the different possibilities in the space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to think of how to word this correctly. I was just literally just writing a blog article for somebody else about this this closed off mentality, and I was in this article that I was just writing, challenging people to open up a little bit. And I mean, open up, even this is going to be scary, even about their private label product ideas. All right. I know that's scary. And in this blog article, I was talking about why I think that's important, but also how to protect yourself. And here's kind of the gist of it. We like to close ourselves in because it's safe. It protects us. But I've seen so many people launch terrible product ideas because they didn't have a sounding board. They didn't run it by somebody. Like if they would have just ran the idea by somebody, someone could have said, whoa, 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 no. Like I know someone that tried to launch that 2 years ago and it was a failure. It's saturated, or here's something you haven't thought about. And on the flip side, to protect ourselves, we can't just tell everybody what our product idea is. We can't load it up on, Facebook groups and Reddit threads and all that stuff. So what we have to do to build this tribe, to build this network of people that we can trust and collaborate with, learn from, and teach, is to get to know them personally. Mm-hmm. And what I've noticed is whether it's a local meetup or a conference or a trade show or something, you can't really get to know someone personally just sitting next to them in a conference. Like you got to go out. So the reason that I've become known as the party guy is because I've forced myself to go to dinner with strangers, and I've forced myself to go out and do karaoke and get on the high roller in Vegas with a pod full of strangers, and like all this stuff that seems fun on the outside, but a lot of people are uncomfortable with. And I do it because, yeah, it's fun. But initially I started doing it mostly because it was very, very powerful for our business. And by building those personal relationships, now we form mastermind groups with people. I've got business partners that I met barely over a year ago on the high roller in Vegas. That's where I met Cassie, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. So Amanda, I had met you and John, and then you basically said, hey, we've got these other friends. Could Cassie come with us? I was like, sure. Met her a year ago. She's a business partner. And the reason these things happen is because I'm the party guy, right? And not necessarily the party guy. I'm just the networker. So Amanda, I know that you go to a lot of conferences. I know that you go to a lot of meetups. How do you approach strangers? I know that you're more bubbly and more social than I am. What are a couple tips that you can give to the listeners on ways to engage with a complete stranger to start building either a little rapport or eventually maybe build a personal relationship that's going to benefit you?
So, I mean, like I said, to me, like I really do enjoy connecting with people and I enjoy learning with people. So number one, care about people, I guess, in a sense. Like, I mean, I don't like look around and be like, oh, who am I going to target, or why do I want to go like see somebody? I would just, I don't know. It's kind of a little bit of an instinctual thing. So that might not help people. I'm sorry about that. But I kind of go with like the energy. I've seen, for example, I was just at an expo and I'm walking around and there was the networking event after the expo shut down. And I'm walking around and there's all these, bar top tables. Every one of them's packed. There's people there. Obviously, they know each other. They have the vendors. People have their teams there. I'm there just totally by myself, holding, my drink and my plate. And I'm like, okay, well, I need a place to sit and whatever. So I'm scouting out. What did I scout out? I scouted out a little empty place on the table. That's where I started. I was like, okay, there looks to be like there's room for me. There wasn't, a napkin and stuff sitting around. So literally that's what I did. I mean, this is not rocket scientist. I just walked up and I didn't scout out multiple different tables because you never know who you're going to meet. Like, I just feel like the universe delivers on stuff, right? So you never know who you're going to meet. I don't have any specific criteria. There was a spot open. I needed a spot. So I walked up. I said, hey, is anybody taking the spot? And they're like, no. We shut that place down. We were the last ones in the entire building. It was me. And then here's what's interesting about this is, so there was 3 of us that were talking Two had a pet store. They were kind of poo-poo on e-commerce because I'm in the pet space, and it was so funny just to work. And now we're like working on a collaboration together. You guys, they had initially in their mind, and they knew they had to soften up on the e-com stuff, but they didn't know somebody in that space. So until I got to share with them how we could actually, like you said, work together, they were like shut off to e-commerce. They're like, no, screw that, you know. So we got to do that and break bread together and hang out and talk. And now we're going to be working on a collaboration. They have 2 different stores. And we actually don't wholesale right now because we're very protective over our stuff. So it's just neat how that's going to come together. And again, they didn't want to have any e-com brands in their stuff until we started talking and, just kind of finding a common ground. And then now here's the other thing. If you are at that point to where you're a little bit more open, have a little bit more, I don't know if you want to say courage, whatever, you have that personality to where, you like to connect with people. I did notice about, 30 minutes into our discussion at this table, there was a young gal that was kind of standing by herself. You could tell she was a little bit nervous, a little bit out of her element. And so I literally, instead of just continuing with my conversation and just doing what we're doing, I said, hey, are you here by yourself? You want to come over? And of course she came over and joined us, and she's a blogger and we might need somebody to be able to help us with their blog. It was just be open, just be open to that kind of stuff, be welcoming. And that's not going to happen every time to where you connect, but you would be surprised again, if this was something that you just had to pick on paper and they asked that couple that owned the pet store, hey, who do you want to meet with that's going to help your business? Do you want to meet Amanda Belkazar that's in the pet space in e-commerce? They would been scratch. No. And here we are, this entire new possibility just formed just because we had the opportunity to sit down. I needed a place to put my stuff. We got to know each other. We started talking, and that was that.
What is today? Is today Tuesday?
Today is
I'm
Tuesday.
still messed up. So last week I'm at that Amazon Partner Seller Summit. Amazon puts it on, it's 300 people. This was crazy. So I'm there. I know not a soul. I mean, there's nobody there that I know. And they have it's on the beach in Fort Lauderdale, so Miami area. It's at a Marriott or something. Well, anyways, they have a cocktail event, right? Hors d'oeuvres and drinks or whatever on the beach one afternoon. So I go down, and of course, like, I'm the guy that when I go to the beach, I take my shoes off. All right. You can't go in the sand with shoes on. If you go in sand with shoes on, you're doing it wrong. We can't be friends anymore. But all these people are dressed in business casual. They're walking out with their shoes off. Well, I said, screw that. So I had some like nice dress shoes on. I took them off. I laid them on the boardwalk, rolled my pants up all goofy, and it was a conversation starter. And then what I realized, it was such a great conversation starter, I started walking up to random tables, and I would say, hey, guys, if you need to take your shoes off, I'll carry them to the boardwalk for you and leave them. And they'd all look at me funny, and I'd say, you guys know you're not supposed to wear shoes on the beach, right? And it would start a conversation. Well, then I upped it even further. They had the waiters and waitresses walk around with little trays of hors d'oeuvres. And I asked one of the waitresses, I said, can I carry that around? It's like crab cakes or something. She's like, okay. So I literally grabbed this tray of crab cakes. There's like 25 tables, standing tables, cocktail tables out there on the beach. And started carrying around table to table and said, hey, guys, you need to check out the crab cakes. These are awesome. And they knew I wasn't a servant, started a conversation. So yeah. Long story short, after doing that for just like a couple hours, just being goofy, which again, like being that out there for me is a little bit tough. I ended up, there's like 6 of us and we're all standing there at like 7. I said, let's go eat dinner. So the 6 of us went out and had dinner, complete strangers. One guy is this awesome dude in the industry that's like doing some like life-changing stuff when it comes to live videos. He was explaining how Amazon Live is kicking off, and they've built this whole set in Los Angeles just to do live videos, and he's from Israel, and like it was amazing. I met a girl who has been selling on Amazon for 4 years, never been to a conference, never been to an event. She's doing $120,000 a month in sales at large ROIs. Did not even know like the industry existed. Like she didn't know. There was a random stranger walked up and was like, oh, Tim, I've seen you on YouTube. I want to shake your hand. And I'm like, okay. And I kind of shook his hand. She's like, you're on YouTube for what? And I'm like, well, we talk about Amazon and e-com. She's like, people do that? And I'm like,
that was us.
Yeah.
That was us. People were going to events. People are like, my friends are like, why aren't you doing this? And I'm like, why would I do that? What people are on there for this stuff?
Yep. So my point was she's doing big numbers and she had never met anybody. And like she was able to teach me some stuff. I was able to teach her some stuff. We're friends now. But it's literally just because I took my shoes off, walked down to the sand and started networking. So the other thing I noticed is local meetups. there were people, we were in Fort Lauderdale. There's a big Amazon meetup in Fort Lauderdale. I've talked about it. Wizards of Amazon, Carlos Alvarez runs it. And there were people that I'd sit down at a table full of strangers for lunch and say, oh, where are you from? And they'd say, oh, I'm an Amazon seller and I'm here in Fort Lauderdale. I'd say, oh, Carlos with the Wizards of Amazon meetup? And they're like, huh? And I'm like, you don't know about this? They meet every Saturday and every Monday evening. And there's like hundreds of them and it's free. And they're like, no, I didn't know that existed. And I'm like, you kidding me? The biggest Amazon sellers meetup in the country is 2 miles from here, and you live 2 miles from here, and you've never heard of it? And they were like, no. I'm like, oh my gosh. And what I started realizing is, like, there must be people in every city. Every city. I didn't know this until recently. There's 2 FBA prep centers in my town. Like, I was at this thing in Fort Lauderdale, and someone's like, oh, you're from Huntsville, Alabama? Do you know my buddy? Boom. He does like $6 million a year in private label. I'm like, no, I've never seen that guy. Never heard of him. So he texted him, said, where do you live? He's like 4 miles from the office. Had no idea this guy existed. So I know that we can't all go to conferences. I know that we can't all go to live events. We can't all go to trade shows. But be thinking about the power of networking. Be thinking about the power of collaboration. Be thinking about the power of combining your brain power with other people's brain power. And it's fun. And just reach out locally. I don't care if you put this sounds shady, but put a Craigslist ad out, seeking Amazon entrepreneurs or something goofy. Like, find out who's in your local town, because when you start meeting people, when you start networking, you start collaborating, great things always happen, but you have to take one little step forward yourself to make sure it happens. It doesn't just happen organically. You have to take a little step there first.
Yep.
Whew, I'm out of breath. Anything to add to that, Amanda?
Oh, man.
Probably not.
I just know that there are even some of the people, like, I know you said that initially you weren't very comfortable, but the one thing that I do want to mention, like you said, you do have to meet people in person to build that trust mostly. Sure, you might have been able to connect and good for you if that works for you, like on Facebook, but getting that face-to-face, there's nothing like it, because like you said, it's incredibly important to be able to share different things at a high, trust level. And that might not happen overnight. It might be a little hard to kind of put yourself out there, and you don't need to go and, show everybody your business plans right out the gate, but work on building that trust. Get to know somebody as a person, and it just happens naturally. I know it was kind of the same thing. The first event that I actually ever attended, Cassie was there. It was for actually merch. And we didn't really know of each other very much. I mean, it was 2.5 years ago. We didn't really know all that much of each other. And she actually knew some other people. So she had talked to, we were kind of in 2 separate groups there a little bit. And so we didn't even really connect at that event, which is kind of funny, because then now we've ended up traveling the world together. We've, stayed together in hotel rooms. We've talked about some of the most, some of the stuff that I haven't talked to some of my closest friends about, we've talked about, whether that has to come with business stuff or personal or family or whatever. And that support system, when you have people that are like-minded, and that's why when you go to these events, it's incredibly powerful, because the people are like-minded there for you to be able to connect with them. They know some of the struggles that you're going through, and a lot of other people might not. And then you don't feel so alone. And so that has been really amazing for us, and just to build. I mean, it's interesting, because you'd think, okay, you go to these networking events and then you form these very deep relationships with people. And that's just been the best part of it for me. Awesome.
Well, we're at the 20-minute mark, which is the end of everybody's attention span. So we'll wrap it up. But guys, we just wanted to share with you just a little bit of advice.
Wait. Time out. Wait, aren't we going to talk about what's going on Saturday? Did we not? We didn't talk about that yet, right? Do you not know what's going on?
Do you want to? Yeah, I know what's going on Saturday. Do we want to?
Are we not going
to? All right.
To?
So
wait, maybe we shouldn't tell them. Is it a secret?
We shouldn't.
I think
it's not really a secret.
We probably should. I think we
probably should. Okay. So for those of you that are looking for a networking opportunity, guys, come to Houston this weekend. I know it's short notice. We don't get any affiliates off this. I'm pushing it because I think it's important. Joy Packard is doing an awesome conference and event. It's a small conference. It's great for people to get started kind of in the industry, make some really good contacts. There's some big players going to be there. There's also some brand new newbies that have never been exposed to any of this. So it's going to be a really, really cool mix. And because Amanda and I know the power of networking. I made a little suggestion a couple days ago, and then things like they always do with me and Amanda snowballed. And Amanda, do you want to explain what we're doing? And for those of you that are coming to, I know some of you listening are coming to the Simplezonseller conference. So you need to check this out. And Amanda, for those that aren't coming but should come to Houston, do you want to explain what we're doing on Saturday night?
Yes. Okay. So there's a couple things. I've been to a couple of different events. And once you start going to events, a lot of times you're going to them and you know a lot of people. So it comes to the point to where you are really kind of comfortable going into the different groups and you're not meeting that many new people. I try and make it a huge point to kind of separate myself sometimes, even though I love seeing everybody, because I want to meet new people. Now, this event, I'm like, Tim, who do you know? He's like, not nobody. And I'm like, hey, me neither, right? So we're like, this is awesome. We need to figure out how we can actually connect with people at the end of the conference. So we have a little bit more time, again, maybe break bread, hang out, have a little fun, be a little goofy. And so we are actually going to do it VIP style because that's how Tim rolls all of the time. Traveled with him to China. And I mean, that's just how it works. So here we go. We have a 30-person limo bus. And we are going to take that out to dinner. We have to get tacos. That's the way you get me out, tacos and tequila. So we're going to go have tacos and at an awesome restaurant out there in Houston. I heard they do it up right. I've not been to Houston, so we got to check that out. And then we are going to go do KTV. Now, here's the thing. For a lot of people, what KTV is, and I know about this because of our China trip, it's karaoke, right? But it's not.
It's not karaoke.
It's not just karaoke. It is like, again, VIP, super fun karaoke. We've done this. I've done this twice in my life. First time was in China, and I almost didn't go. Because I'm like, it's going to be late. I got to work tomorrow. Come on, we got to focus. Whatever. Fine, I'll go because this is an experience. Whatever. It was a blast. I didn't want to leave. It's just hilarious. You go, you're in your own VIP room. At this point, you guys, we're driving the limo bus. We're going to be all warmed up. Everybody's going to be comfortable with each other. It's going to be silly. It's going to be so much fun. And so when we were talking about this, we're like, dinner, what else do we do? What are we going to do? Like a punch bowl social? What are we're trying to look, and I'm like, wait. There's a KTV in Houston. It was meant to be done. So that's what we got going on.
It's going to be awesome. So, hey, guys, even if you're not coming to the Simplezonseller conference, if you're in the Houston area, you want to come hang out Saturday, shoot us a message. We'll send you the link. You can come hang out at our event. It's going to be awesome. Yep. So, all right. So we've officially pitched Joy's event again. We've talked about our networking thing coming up this Saturday, which I'm excited about. Yeah. To recap, all of you that haven't listened.
I think there's only like 15 spots left too. FYI.
Yeah, something like that. The moral of this whole story, of this whole Facebook Live, reach out, find someone to collaborate with, form a circle, step out of your comfort zone, start networking, start taking strangers out to dinner. That's been some of the biggest assets to my business, to Amanda's business, and a lot of those in the industry that are doing well. So I challenge you to take those steps and do that kind of thing yourself. Any last closing thoughts, Amanda, before we wrap this thing up? And
no, because I'll have it going to 30 minutes, and people are already done with me.
I know. All right. Well, thanks, guys, for checking it out. If you're watching this on YouTube, the replay, if you have any questions or comments, post them in. We'll make sure to keep an eye on that. Check us out on Facebook, Private Label Legion. How can people get in touch with you, Amanda?
Ecom Hustle Couple. We have a Facebook page right there. So John will drop links on there too, but we have it's kind of stuck. So John and I are now the Ecom Hustle Couple. There you go. Hit us up, message us, and yeah, we're excited to connect. So looking forward to it.
Okay. Well, we're wrapping it up. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next Legion Live.